The awakening, when souls choose freedom over familiarity. In the quiet chambers of the human heart, there exists a moment of profound reckoning, a crossroads where dignity meets dismissal, where the soul must choose between the familiar ache of undervaluation and the untrodden path of self-sovereignty. This is not merely a decision, it is an awakening, a sacred emergence from the chrysalis of others' expectations into the luminous realm of self-determined worth. The ancient Stoics understood this transformation intimately, recognizing that true strength often manifests not in the thunderous proclamation of one's value, but in the serene withdrawal of one's precious essence from those who cannot perceive its radiance. This awakening arrives unbidden, often in the stillness of twilight contemplation or in the stark clarity of dawn's first light. It whispers of possibilities beyond the confines of others' limitations, beyond the suffocating boundaries of their narrow vision. Here, in this sacred space of recognition, we discover that we need not diminish ourselves to accommodate those who refuse to expand their understanding. The soul, long compressed into shapes that never fit, begins to remember its original form, vast, luminous, and entirely self-contained. By the time these words settle in your spirit, you will possess 7 timeless strategies that will transform how you move through the world. You will learn to withdraw your precious energy from those who would thoughtlessly waste it, to command respect through silent strength rather than desperate demands. These teachings will show you how to wield indifference as your most powerful weapon, turning what once felt like rejection into your ultimate advantage. Most importantly, you will master the sacred art of walking away, not with the bitter taste of resentment in your mouth, but with an unshakable peace that cannot be disturbed. This is not merely advice, this is the path of the unconquered soul, the way of those who cannot be diminished by the smallness of others. With these tools in hand, you will navigate life's challenges with the quiet confidence of a warrior philosopher. Now, let us begin this transformative journey together. 1. The currency of attention. Reclaiming your royal treasury. Every moment of mental energy devoted to those who diminish your light is a coin stolen from your own treasury of peace. The wise have long known that attention is the most precious currency we possess, more valuable than gold, more potent than any earthly power. When we cease to illuminate the ungrateful with our presence, we create a darkness they cannot ignore, a void that speaks more eloquently than any plea for recognition ever could. This withdrawal is not retreat, it is strategic repositioning, the quiet revolution of a soul reclaiming its sovereignty. The Stoics taught that what we nurture flourishes, and what we neglect withers. Marcus Aurelius wrote of the mind as an inner citadel, impregnable when properly defended. By redirecting our focus inward, toward growth and tranquility, we transform from supplicants begging for acknowledgement into architects of our own destiny. Consider the profound shift that occurs when you stop investing your emotional resources in those who consistently undervalue them. The energy once scattered in futile attempts at gaining approval becomes concentrated, focused, and immensely powerful. This is the alchemy of attention, transforming dispersed hope into concentrated purpose. Identify one person or situation that drains you. Today, retract your energy silently. Do not announce it, simply redirect it. Watch how the scales of power shift when you are no longer a willing participant in their game. 2. The eloquence of silence. When absence becomes your voice. There exists a profound poetry in silence, a rhetoric more powerful than the most carefully crafted arguments. When we refuse to engage in the futile dance of proving our worth to the willfully blind, we deny them the drama they crave and force them to confront the emptiness of their own noise. The Stoic masters knew that true strength often wears the gentle cloak of stillness, that the mountain's power lies not in its roar but in its unshakable presence. Your silence becomes a mirror, reflecting back their chaos while your spirit remains untouched by their storms. In this sacred quiet, you discover that the most profound conversations are often held without uttering a single word. Epictetus taught that we cannot control what others do or say, but we possess absolute dominion over our responses. When we choose silence over argument, restraint over reaction, we demonstrate a mastery that transcends the petty battles of ego. Our absence speaks a language that penetrates deeper than words, reaching places that desperate explanations could never touch. This is the eloquence of the evolved soul, communication through presence, or the deliberate withdrawal of it. The next time you are baited into conflict, respond with silence. Not the silence of defeat, but the silence of a mountain, unmoved, unshaken. Observe how their chaos falters when met with your calm. 3. The fortress of inner peace. Building sanctuaries within. Chaos may rage in the external world, but serenity remains a conscious choice, a deliberate construction of the disciplined mind. The Stoic philosophy teaches us that we are not obligated to host the tempests of others within the sacred halls of our consciousness. Your peace is a temple that requires vigilant guardianship, protected not by walls of stone but by boundaries of unwavering resolve. When external turbulence seeks to invade your inner sanctuary, you possess the divine right to close the gates, to refuse entry to that which would disturb your tranquility. This is not callousness, it is spiritual self-preservation, the recognition that your well-being is too precious to be held hostage by another's dysfunction. Seneca wisely observed that we suffer more in imagination than reality, and much of our suffering stems from allowing others' chaos to colonize our mental landscape. The fortress of inner peace is built brick by brick, through daily practices of mindfulness, through the conscious choice to respond rather than react, through the cultivation of an unshakable core that remains calm regardless of external storms. Each time you refuse to let another's drama disturb your equilibrium, you strengthen these walls, creating an impregnable sanctuary of the soul. At the end of each day, reflect, did I allow someone else's chaos to invade my sanctuary? If so, rebuild your walls tomorrow. Strengthen your resolve. Peace is not found, it is fiercely guarded. 4. The alchemy of ascension. Transforming neglect into noble purpose. Perhaps the most exquisite revenge is not retaliation but elevation, the quiet metamorphosis from undervalued to undeniable. While others remain trapped in the quicksand of pettiness, you ascend to heights they cannot fathom. The Stoics embraced amor fati, the love of one's fate, understanding that even neglect and dismissal can become the fuel for extraordinary transformation. Your growth becomes the silent testimony to your inherent worth, an undeniable truth that requires no proclamation. Let your evolution be so profound, so radiant, that their doubts become irrelevant whispers in the symphony of your success. This transformation is not born of spite but of self-love, not from a desire to prove them wrong but from an unshakable knowing of what is right. Every skill mastered, every goal achieved, every step forward becomes a brushstroke in the masterpiece of your becoming. The beauty of this approach lies in its purity. You grow not to spite them but to honor yourself, not to gain their approval but to earn your own respect. In time, they may recognize what they failed to see, but by then, their recognition will be merely a footnote in the epic story of your self-actualization. Choose one skill, one goal, one step forward, and take it relentlessly. Let your evolution be so undeniable that their doubts become irrelevant.
Before we continue, I'd love to take a moment to sincerely thank you for being part of this journey toward personal beauty and endless growth. Your support, through watching, subscribing, liking, and sharing this video means the world to me. Now let's get back to the video.
5. Draw boundaries in blood and stone. A line crossed once is a test. A line crossed twice is a choice, yours. The Stoics taught that self-respect is non-negotiable, a sacred principle that forms the bedrock of human dignity. When someone disrespects you, they are not rejecting you, they are revealing themselves, showing you exactly who they are beneath the mask of civility. Your task is not to change them, not to convince them of your worth, but to fortify your borders with unwavering resolve. Let the first offense be their only warning. Silence speaks louder than lengthy explanations. Your boundaries are not suggestions to be negotiated, they are declarations of your inherent value. When you allow others to trample what you hold sacred, you teach them that your respect for yourself is conditional, flexible, and ultimately worthless. The ancient philosophers understood that boundaries are the armor of the self-respecting soul. They protect not just your peace, but your very essence from those who would diminish it through their carelessness or malice. Name one boundary you've allowed to blur, and etch it deeper today. Speak it with conviction. Enforce it without apology. Your self-respect depends on it. 6. Never explain your worth to those who doubt it. A diamond does not justify its brilliance to coal. When you plead for recognition, you surrender your power and diminish the very essence you seek to defend. The Stoics understood this profound truth: authentic value needs no defense, no elaborate justification, no desperate performance to prove its existence. Marcus Aurelius wrote that we become what we repeatedly think about. When you constantly explain yourself, you become someone who questions their own worth. Those who cannot see your light were never meant to witness it. Their blindness is not a reflection of your dimness but a limitation of their perception. Stop translating yourself for those who refuse to understand your language. Your worth is not determined by their comprehension or lack thereof. The right people will recognize your value instinctively, without requiring exhausting proof or endless demonstrations. They will see what others missed and celebrate what others dismissed. Your energy is too precious to waste on those who demand you shrink yourself to fit their narrow understanding. The next time you feel compelled to explain yourself, pause. Instead, reaffirm your worth in sacred silence. Let your presence speak what words cannot. 7. The grace of departure. Mastering the art of sacred goodbye. The most powerful exit is the one they never anticipate, not born of anger or sorrow, but of serene finality. When you depart without fanfare, without the bitter taste of resentment staining your departure, you demonstrate that what they offered was never sufficient to contain your magnificence. This is the ultimate triumph of the unconquered soul, to walk away not as one defeated, but as one who has simply outgrown the confines of their limited vision. Your departure becomes not an ending but a beginning, not a loss but a liberation. The Stoics knew that some battles are won by leaving the battlefield. When you depart without fanfare, without lingering bitterness, you prove that what they offered was never enough to keep you. And one day, they will realize what they lost, but by then, you will be beyond their reach. Identify one attachment that no longer serves you, and release it, not with grief, but with grace. The dawn of your sovereign era. The unshakable triumph of letting go. As these words settle into the depths of your being, may you feel the stirring of something ancient and powerful, the recognition of your own unshakable worth. You were never meant to diminish yourself to fit into spaces too small for your spirit. The world awaits your authentic presence, your unique contribution, your irreplaceable light. May you walk forward with the quiet confidence of one who knows their value, who guards their peace, and who chooses growth over grievance. In the days to come, may you build a life so beautiful, so fulfilling, that you will look back on this moment of choosing yourself as the sacred turning point it truly is. May your days be filled with people who celebrate your presence rather than tolerate it, who see your light and reflect it back to you magnified. May you find yourself in spaces where your voice is not just heard but treasured, where your contributions are not just acknowledged but cherished. This is the alchemy of self-mastery, to turn dismissal into fuel, silence into power, and absence into legend. You were never meant to beg for a seat at tables built from broken wood. You were meant to build your own. So walk away, not as one defeated, but as one who has outgrown the arena. Let them wonder at your stillness, your sudden invisibility. And when they search for you in the places you once stood, may they find only the imprint of wings, proof that you were always meant for higher skies. The path ahead is yours to illuminate, and the sky has no limits for souls brave enough to spread their wings. Trust in the wisdom of your own heart, in the strength of your convictions, in the power of your authentic self. You are not walking toward an ending but toward a beginning, the first day of a life lived entirely on your own terms, guided by your own values, and illuminated by your own inner fire. This is not just hope, this is your destiny calling you home to yourself. Now rise. And never look back.